I want to share a secret with you about business agility. Here it goes. No matter how successful your product, your service, or your business model are, they're on borrowed time. The clock is ticking. Don't believe me? History is littered with high-profile examples of companies that were at the top of their game and in only a few short years were disrupted out of existence. Let's take Kodak, for example. Founded in 1880, grew to be the world's largest film company, ultimately got washed away in the digital scenario. Here's the funny thing though. Kodak even saw it coming and in the 90s planned a decade-long journey to move to digital technology, but in the end there was little implementation of this new strategy. As there was little pressure from competing technologies on their core business, Kodak executives struggled to imagine a world without traditional film, and there was little incentive to deviate from the once-winning formula. Kodak ultimately filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Well, what about Blockbuster? Blockbuster was one of the most iconic brands and a movie and video game rental giant. You know, at its peak in 2004, Blockbuster employed 84,300 people worldwide across 9,095 stores. Unfortunately for them, they failed to see the emerging opportunities on the digital model, passed up an opportunity to buy Netflix for a paltry $50 million, would you believe? And the rest is history. And in case you were wondering, Netflix now has a market cap of over $200 billion. Tower Records, everyone's heard of Tower Records. Just another example, founded in 1960, first to create the concept of retail music megastore, pioneer in their time, but as all too often is the story, failed to ride the digital winds and reinvent their business model. What about Nokia, Borders, Polaroid? The list goes on and on. I think you get the point. But even if we could push these technology revolutions and the disruption they cause to one side just for a minute, there are other transformational forces at play that are just as powerful, if not more. And you need only look at the world today to see some glaring examples. Take COVID-19, a black swan event in every sense of the word. Very, very few people saw it coming. We've not even begun to understand the fundamental changes that will continue to ripple out for years to come through the world economy because of COVID-19. What about global warming? Absolutely devastating weather effects ranging from the worst bushfires on record in Australia through to rising sea levels, and the damage goes on and on. And you can see these transformational forces play out in the data too. A study by McKinsey found that the average lifespan of companies listed in the S&P 500 all the way back in 1958 was 61 years. And if we want to contrast that with today, how long do companies live in the S&P 500? Well, the answer is 18. So it's dropped from 61 to 18 and the trend's continuing to decline. And in fact, by 2027, McKinsey believes that 75% of companies currently quoted on the S&P 500 will have disappeared because they're ultimately going to be bought out, merged, or they're going to go bust. So all of this begs the question, how does an organization survive, let alone flourish and thrive in the digital age, when such transformational forces are continually blowing through? The answer is simple. Business agility. Where Agile has its roots more in software development, business agility takes a broader and more holistic view. Business agility not only requires technical agility, but also a business level commitment to product and value stream thinking. It requires that everyone involved in delivering business solutions use lean and agile practices. The silos that once supported our organizations, from HR to IT to finance and others, they must be broken down to make way for this new collaborative approach. So what is business agility? SAFe describes business agility as the ability to compete and thrive in the digital age by quickly responding to market changes and emerging opportunities with innovative business solutions. Think about it this way. Many businesses today are highly focused on their existing products and services, and why not, right? That's what's made them successful. But it's also a two-edged sword. What happens when a disruptive technology or black swan event tears through? Without the ability for an organization to strategically pivot to a potentially completely different business, then they run the very real risk of going the way of the dinosaur. Ironically, the very thing that made it successful is the very thing that will cause their downfall. And that's what business agility is all about. It's about the entire organization being a much more adaptive and responsive organism rather than holding on tight to the rigid structures of the past. While last century was characterized by relative stability, The current environment is characterized by unprecedented levels of change and uncertainty. To survive and flourish in this digital age, organizations must build a new set of competencies around business agility. SAFE defines these 7 competencies of business agility, and in so doing provides the organizational muscle necessary to pivot as required while always keeping a laser focus on customer centricity. Business agility is no longer an option. It's a business imperative.